Well, some coastal communities in the Volta region where the sea has literally made landfall and found its way into many homes, where learning about 4,000 people may have been displaced or may have been affected, and schools and businesses have been closed as a result. Yesterday, when we reported on the issue, it wasn't clear what the plan was for the people who were displaced. This morning, we'll be going back to that story and get a better understanding of the interventions put in place for the people and how they're passing the night. So yesterday, we brought you this trivia. All right, so it was a trivia on NSMQ. It was a tough one for many of you, and one of our NSMQ reporters made a mess of himself on live TV. I won't mention his name to spare him further embarrassment, but I have another trivia for you all today. Let's see how well you do. Beyond that, there'll be a draw to find out how the 81 schools that made it to the 1-8 stage will be paired. We'll get to find out how this will be done. There will also be showbiz with IB. I'm Israelite. Do stay tuned.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapisa Sibidi. In our first story, Works and Housing Minister Francis Asensubwache says the 2022 budget will include the second phase of the Blekusu Coastal Protection Project, expected to address the perennial tidal wave at Ketu South Municipality. We'll hear from him shortly. First, here's Maxwell Agwa's report from Ketu South Municipality, detailing how some of the residents in one of the affected communities have relocated to a cemetery which has been partly submerged.
Now, I'm currently at the Amuchinu community, and the community school here itself is also getting its fair share of the devastation being caused by the high tides here in this part of the country. The students, when they are studying, the pupils, when they are studying, when they are in there, they can have a good view of the ocean. You've seen some of them there. Let's try and see if we can interact with some of them who were actually seated outside here studying.
The sea, first time the sea, between the distance between the sea is very far. By this time, the sea is closer to us. Sometimes the sea can even come here, then we can flow through this area. Then sometimes disturb our knowledge. We can't even learn, and we can't even focus to learn because the way the sea is coming to hit the wall.
It hits the wall?
Yeah, it hits the wall, okay. And the sun is always disturbing us every day.
Okay, okay. Now you can see visible cracks already in this structure. I'm told that this building used to be quite taller, you know, and there was no way I was going to be able to reach the height of this school building. But now, because of the high tides and because the ocean is drawing closer, now it's very easy for me to even touch the ceiling here. So we have with us also here assessing the situation, the chairman for the Volta Region MP's caucus, Emmanuel Kwesi Bejra, here with us. Is also on the ground assessing the situation. Honorable, is your constituency affected by this?
No, at all. I'm also a member of the Western Housing Committee.
Okay.
Let me also add that we were here some years back when the sea defense, the first phase was completed. We're here to inspect it. And so this place has not been reclaimed, and therefore the easier way is for the sea to pass here, because this place has not been reclaimed. And so we'll have this, you know, till it gets to a flower. Now, if we don't continue, if we don't complete the loop by claiming what the sea has taken, we'll have this problem forever. It's not only perennial, it will continue forever. And so my urgent appeal to this government is to continue the first phase that has been ended there. And so that we can reclaim all these shorelines up to Aplau. And Togolese or Togo government should also continue with their reclamation.
You could see the sea defense blocks, the rocks here. Yeah. You could see them. But still the water is right here. Yeah. Because when the waves comes, it bypasses the sea defense walls and it stacks here.
Time now to hear from Mr. Asensubwache, who notes an 8-kilometer project will generate revenue and improve the livelihoods of the people.
It's important to note that in April 2021, a technical team from the Hydrological Services Department of the Ministry, upon my directive, traveled to the affected communities to engage the municipal chief executive and some community leaders on the matter of the implementation of the second phase. I also had the opportunity to lead a technical team to visit those communities to have a first-hand understanding of the matter and the situation on ground. It is envisaged that the completion of the works envisaged under the second phase of the project will cover a minimum coastal stretch of 8,000 meters, that is 8 kilometers, and this will surely ensure the total protection of the people of Agavaji, Salakope, Amuchuni, Adina communities and other affected communities within the constituency that continue to bear the brunt of these occasional disasters. The scope of works under the second phase of Blekuso Coastal Protection Project entails the construction of 37 armor rock drawings with land reclamation to protect 8 kilometers of coastal stretch. The ministry is currently actively working with the Ministry of Finance to raise the needed funding for the implementation of the second phase. I am very hopeful that the Finance Minister will touch on it.
Roads within the La Medina and Kwantanang municipality in the Greater Accra region have moved from bad to worse just 2 weeks after Member of Parliament for the area, Francis Xavier Sosu, led residents there to demand immediate government action. Contractors working on sections of the road returned to the site last week after a year of absence over what the MCE called prolonged rains. But it is emerging that less than a week after returning, the contractors have abandoned the site again due to the rains. Manok Kranting visited the area and now reports.
The sounds of vehicles, heavy and light, as they struggle to meander through large potholes, their tires splashing against deep puddles on sections of the Damfa Utinibi roads. Residents in these communities, together with others from Taiman, Abukubi, Ayimensa and other areas all within the La Medina and Kwantanang municipality, hit the streets on Monday, October 26, to demand immediate government attention in fixing the roads. A demonstration which will land the MP, Francis Xavier Sosu, in a row with the police. As the case progresses in court, the main reason for the protest, the deplorable roads, have moved from bad to worse.
See the water. You yourself, can you use your foot leg to that side? You yourself see the road. There's no any way. The children are suffer. See the school. We have government school over here, but there's no anything going on. With that car, we can't go where we are going to.
Because I had to go down there, and trust me, like I had to return because I couldn't continue the journey. It's really terrible.
So if it rains a lot, I have to park my car here, then walk, so that the next day or the next 2 days, then I'll come and pick my car. It's very terrible. So the government has to really do something about it for us. We are suffering here.
And since last year, since August, we have never had a peace. Anytime it rains, terrible, very terrible. Very terrible. Very, very terrible. And this road is very simple. When you are going to Ebri from here, you don't have to go through Adenta barrier. You just drive through a distance about 5-10, then you are off. But now, when we are going to Adenta from here, when we are going to Ebri from here, you don't pass there. We go to Adenta and go.
We need the road to be made to work for us. I don't know why. Look at this road. Look how I'm sweating. Just imagine that it's the road, and I'm not being like they're not being fair like Ghanaians. The road should be done. You know, this fire would go to somewhere. Look at the hours I spent. Hours lost, money lost. My car also got bad. So please, you beg, you should try to work on the road for us.
Contractors working on the road had a week ago returned to site after close to a year of being absent. Their stay on site, however, did not last more than a week.
Talk say, contractor, how you give excuse, no? If you are a contractor, where you say rain, You understand? The rain there they fall. Where you no go fit do anything about the rain. So you wait for come to the site, then they see the faults. Because if you say rain, where you go there, where you do the thing where the rain can spoil and get. Which type of contractor are you? They want the contract, they give you money. So by now I'm expecting for now, if at least if I don't give excuse about rain matter. You know, as a contractor, when rain is falling, you have to be at the site. So when you are at the site, you can see where this thing is coming from. You bring these two machines just to grade the thing, but yet we are feeling the same difficulties. That's why we demonstrate for. Nothing I've done with the road. You cannot bring this machine and come and do something short. This rain. Rain there is still falling. Then themselves they know.
MCE for the area, Jennifer Dede Jabeng, who had earlier referred to the demonstration as needless, said the delay was due to the rains. The same rains whose impact is expected to be corrected by the construction of the roads, at least for the school children who are rendered immobile whenever it rains.
We are on afternoon shift, and it rained heavily. So sometimes we removed our shoes and we walked through the wind. And sometimes we wanted to take car, but the car did not pick us. So we walked heavily in the rain. The rain beat us. Yes, our boots got wet.
People do not come to school. About 15 or yes.
Oh, we feel bad because we are suffering a lot. Sometimes when it's raining, the car can tell you should drop and walk through the rain because the car cannot pass through. So sometimes we walk.
The government should help us do our road so that we, the school children, we always feel happy when walking on the road.
The trucks have been parked, just like they have been parking for close to a year now since the contract was awarded to them. For now, the residents and motorists who ply this particular road would have to endure for some more time until when the contractor is ready to work on the road. For Manuel Cranting.
The Ministry of Education says it is rolling out plans to build boarding facilities alongside a number of the E-Block senior high school started under the erstwhile NDC administration. According to Minister Dr. Yao Seyaduchum, this is in furtherance of government's plans for increased investment in science, technology, engineering and maths education in Ghana. Kukwa Santi has more in this report.
Things are shifting, things are changing. And what do we need to do? What we need to do is to change our education system to meet that need. And to meet that need means that we need to focus on STEM education.
Dr. Yao Seyaduchum has explained the new focus of his ministry is to make science, technology, engineering and maths education in the country attractive as a sure way of growing the country's economy. The ministry, in partnership with the Academic City University College, organized a forum to discuss STEM education and how all stakeholders can come together and ensure its success. As part of this, the minister says government will begin the institution of an incentive system to ensure more STEM teachers accept postings to rural and deprived areas.
We have to address incentives for teachers in rural areas. Ghana Education Service is working on this issue, and I want them to speed it up so that that system can be created, so that there will be no school in this country without a teacher.
Senior high schools have also been built from scratch across the country as part of these efforts, which will focus largely on STEM education.
So the infrastructure that we are doing is to reform systems that are already in place in our regular schools, as we also build facilities that will ensure that STEM can truly be practiced.
But not only this, the E-Blocks built by the erstwhile NDC administration will now be equipped with boarding facilities.
Ensure that in areas where there are E-Blocks and there are no dorms, of course E-Blocks didn't come with dorms, there are no facilities for students to come there and for the schools to be operationalized. We are building dormitory blocks so that the E-Blocks can also be operationalized for the benefit of the Ghanaian student. The else resources that were used in building the E-Blocks were the resources of this nation. And the president has directed that we do everything possible to ensure that in cases where the e-blocks were not built in the middle of town and the schools cannot be opened because students cannot just walk there, as is the case of Drobonso.
The selection of Academic City University College as the venue for this conversation was not coincidental. The institution offers world-class programs in technology and engineering with a state-of-the-art and ultra-modern campus in Ghana. With a vision to become a world-class center for learning, innovation and entrepreneurship that nurtures future leaders who can innovatively solve complex problems within an ethical, entrepreneurial and collaborative environment. The University College says it's ready to play its role in deepening STEM education in Ghana. As part of the STEM efforts, government plans to grow the country's gross tertiary enrollment to 40% by 2030.
Gross tertiary enrollment ratio is one important metric that if you can track, you know your country is changing. So Ghana is 18.8%, South Korea is 96.3%, and that is why the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, during the last State of the Nation address, told the country that he wants to move the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of Ghana from the current 18.8% to 40% by 2030.
Residents of Akun in the Takwa Nsoyim municipality of the Western region are to benefit from government's National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for people affected by the ban on illegal mining, also called Galamsey. About 1,000 people from the predominantly farming community will be the first beneficiaries of the project, which is to partly ensure responsible mining. Correspondent Inathalia Kwansa has the rest of the story.
Illegal mining has existed for generations, but in recent years, the trend has taken an alarming proportion. This has over the time triggered conversation, including stakeholders' consultations and meetings on finding a solution to it. There were the formation of military task force to facilitate the fight. In March 2017, the government responded to a media campaign against environmental degradation and placed the ban against small-scale mining entirely to save river bodies and other water sources in the name of extracting gold. The ban, on the hand, meant approximately 1 million and over people lost their livelihoods. However, to help other dependents on the illegal job creation, President Akufo-Addo a fortnight ago launched the government's National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program specifically for the mining sector.
The pursuit of gold in recent years through the phenomenon of illegal mining or Galamsey has reduced many of our forests to degraded lands and some of our rivers to polluted water bodies. The government is in full support of responsible small-scale mining activity. It should therefore be encouraged, and we will do all that is necessary to promote it for our collective benefit. I have great pleasure to declare the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program duly launched.
Community mining is one of the many programs to be rolled out under this program. The Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mining, who is also the MP for Takwa Nsoyim, George Mrekuduka, at the launch of the Akon community mining said the government will ensure that the activities of the miners correspond with the law on mining.
We've commissioned Akon community mining. We've added mercury-free machine as part of our commitment to the Minamata Convention of reducing the use of mercury. Also for them, if you look at what we've launched today, the small-scale and community mining operational manual, this is also to guide them as to how they will go by their duties. It is very, very important that we really go by this manual. It is key, because without an office, a first aid center, a changing room, and that of a dining hall, we not commissioning any community mining concession. And that must be the basic. Now, there is no embargo, but weeding out the recalcitrants. That is the new modus operandi. Let's identify those who are doing the right things. How do we support them? How do we encourage them? How do we motivate them? Those who are not also doing the right thing, we've launched the Operation Halt to clamp them down.
The Western Regional Minister, Kobna Ochredaku Mensah, who was at the ceremony, expressed optimism that the region is likely to benefit from about 100 community mining sites.
I do believe that if we are able to absorb them to work, security issues will also go down. And then people have their peace of mind to reinvest and grow the economy for the Western region and for Ghana as a whole. So I'm key, in particular, that we should be able to open more of these factories. Yeah, we are doing one district, one factory. With this one, we can do more. Now, people have seen the concepts. It's not easy for anybody to build and then ask for the permissions. So I'm looking that within the next 2-3 years, we should be able to get the 100 mines up and running.
Communications Director of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Abdul Razak Halassan, said community mining is the way to go if Ghana, as a nation, wants to clamp down on illegalities in the mining sector.
If you see the number of people this community mining model can pick, I think that one can reduce, if it cannot eradicate it completely, but it can reduce the illegalities to the barest minimum. So if you look at the whole thing, some of us, we have the belief that the community mining can solve the problem of illegality. So it's a collaborative thing.
Those whose livelihood were affected by the ban are hopeful of a brighter life ahead. In Athalia Kwanzaa, Joy News, Western Region.
That's how we end the AM News. For more news, you can log into myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapisa CBD. The AM show continues.
Correct this morning, except for the people of the Ketu South municipality, where tidal waves are wreaking havoc there. The sea has essentially made landfall, and many communities have been submerged. We will be dealing a lot more with that situation, going to the community and get to understand what's actually happening there. So we'll get to that in a bit. But right now it's time for the news review on the AM show, and Joseph Akabale has joined me. Good morning to you, Joseph. Call him baby lawyer. How are you?
I'm doing well. 2 days ago, my mom called me and she said, baby lawyer, how are you doing? I was like, what's happening? They said, that's what your colleagues were calling you.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you get there very soon. Then we'll take the baby off.
So.
Okay, so let's get into the papers. We're starting with the Ghanaian Times this morning. So after distraction by tidal waves, government commits to building defense wall to protect 8-kilometer coastal stretch in Ketu South municipality. And there's a photograph of some classroom blocks being washed away this morning on the AM show. We'll get a better understanding of what is happening there. The story is on page 16. So let me get to that, and I'm sure it's going to come with. Right, so yeah, the Minister of Works and Housing, Francis Asenso-Bache, has called for a stop to sand winning and other activities that exposes residents of coastal communities in the Ketu South municipality to the harsh tidal waves, resulting in displacement and destruction of property. Citing uprooting of mangrove along the coastal stretch as one of the activities, he explained that it was imperative the residents practice safety measures as government tasks take steps to commence work on the 8-kilometer sea defense project designed to protect the coasts of Edina, Agavaji, Salakope, and Amuchinu communities who were over the weekend displaced by the tidal waves. So yes, apparently it turns out that the members of the communities themselves are also contributing to all of that, even though we're all aware that this problem with the Keta and tidal waves has been an issue that's been there for many years, many years, and we're all aware that something has been done about it, the Keta Sea Defense project, but it appears it's taking too long, I think, to get this completed. We've been talking about Keta Sea Defense project for like forever. Hopefully,
almost always in the budget some way, somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, but instead, I found something a bit weird. I mean, one of the stories Maxwell brought us, I think, on News Desk, the residents were actually exhuming the bodies of buried relatives and reburying them. And I mean, I was wondering, I was just asking him, so they are reburying them so that they are not disturbed by the waves. But I was wondering whether the residents themselves, they have any intention of relocating entirely from that area.
I would have thought so too. I mean, at some point you realize that, and it's a conversation we've had here on the AM show where we're looking at how much it's going to cost to put up this sea defense project. And knowing that, you know, global warming, the sea levels are rising, would it get to a point where the sea defense that we actually have in place at this point will be overtaken by the waves? And so at that point, does it mean that we've sunk so much money into these projects, and yet we're going to have the problem a few years down the line? So maybe we should be looking at, as you indicate, probably relocating, getting the communities out of that area entirely to safer ground.
I mean, elsewhere, people are actually moving water backwards in order to build. I mean, I know that they did that in Netherlands. I mean, but I think it's a purely a money problem. We don't have the funds to build the sea defense in a manner that will protect people enough. And so I think in the interim, that should be perhaps the conversation that we should be having.
It's a conversation we will be having this morning on the AM show, so we'll get to that. All right, President off to Cape Verde to attend swearing in of President-elect Jose Neves. That's on. Okay, so President is off again. President Nana Addo Dankwa left the country yesterday for Praia, capital of Cape Verde, to attend the swearing-in ceremony of Jose Maria Neves, the President-elect of Cape Verde. And U.S. borough of Brooklyn named street after Ghana. I've seen the story in a number of the newspapers. They get to that. Okay, so the borough of Brooklyn has named a street in Bed-Stuy after Ghana, highlighting the country's leading role in building bridges amongst the global African family. Bed-Stuy has been a center of African American culture since the early 20th century and has been home to several cultural icons. So here we have Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal, and a photo of Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal and Mr. Kwesi Agyeman with other dignitaries at the event. Okay. And also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, 5 Konongo Odumase SHS students remanded over alleged murder. Yes, we're talking about that yesterday. They have been remanded. Medina MP case adjourned to November 16. And yes, when the case was called in court, the Kaneshie District Court was told that the MP was out of the country. So the case has been adjourned. Policeman arrested for allegedly injuring 7 at installation of chief. Okay, let's see what the other stories are. We have Finance Minister to present budget November 15. In Africa news, armed men seize Congo villages near Uganda-Rwanda border. Sudan internet cuts complicate civil disobedience campaign against coup. And SA corruption whistleblower flees for life. Right, the other stories we have digitalization will help curb corruption, encourage accountability. That's a political scientist saying that. And TMA members, assembly members ask TDC to support communities. And Ghanaians urged to contribute towards the National Cathedral project. President Veep donate towards addressing challenges at Navasco. That's a Navrongo Senior High School. And political parties in WA commit to peace. In the center spread of the Ghanaian Times, 8 135,989 persons fully vaccinated out of 20 million target. That's still less than 1 million. That's the Ghana Health Service saying that. But yes, the vaccines are available, so please go out there and go get your jabs. The Ghana Health Service started from last Friday. With this phase, you don't need to belong to a particular category. Just go out there and go to any of the public health facilities and some selected private health facilities and get your vaccination. Fortunately, they're the one-dose vaccines as well, so you don't have to go and come back another time for your second dose. Government ponders over introduction of gifted talented education, and 37 educational institutions, organizations receive HOSA license. Reconstruction of Takwa Agona in Kwanta Road begins. I'm sure it will bring some relief to the people of that area. And back to the Ketu South story. Victims yet to receive relief items from NADMO. We'll be going back onto the ground again this morning to see if the situation has improved at all. And stop giving LGBTQ plus promoters media platform to operate. Oh. Okay, I'm not sure anybody is promoting them. It's more of maybe some advocacy. And until the law comes into force, I don't think there's anything wrong with the people speaking or saying their side of the story or making their voices heard. GMA implores Ghanaians to vaccinate against COVID-19. We can't say this enough, that people should just go get the jab. Account for $1 billion meant for refinancing of power purchase agreement. CSO budget forum to government. And formulate policies to shape Ghana's shipping maritime industry and adopt scientific approach to sports development. And bring you some foreign sports. New Barca boss wants Raheem Sterling at Nou Camp. No plans to replace Solskjaer despite Man City defeat. So Ole apparently is going nowhere. At least for now. He gets to stay. Yeah, he gets to stay with the club. In local sports, Olympics aim to improve on last season's performance. Dwarfs announced kit sponsorship deal with Icarus, and Alhaji Grusa praises officiating in Faisal win at Doma. And on the back page, Ghana developing national forest monitoring system, and contractor returns to abandon Damfa Ayimensa road project. Okay, so the contractor is said to have returned, but then apparently he's gone. He's abandoned the area again because, well, now we're learning that it's because of the rain. Okay, that's it for the Ghanaian Times for me, Joseph.
The Daily Graphic, the front page has this story about bullying in schools, relic of the past, the education minister speaking, and collaborate to tackle sanitation challenges is coming from the Lama Shegu chief. Alternative mining scheme takes off Akun community to benefit. That should be in the Western region. It has the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources together with the Western Regional Minister who cut short for this particular project to take off. The back page has the Keta story, government to raise funds for coastal protection project as tidal waves ravage Volta communities. And we are told that they are looking at constructing the second phase that will see 37 or more rocks with land reclamation to protect the coastal stretch. And this was announced by the Works and Housing Minister at a news conference. He said when completed, the project would ensure the protection of people of the affected communities that continue to bear the brunt of this seasonal disaster. So what it doesn't mention is when exactly this project will be completed, and so we may have to wait a bit on that.
Yeah, and it's not something that you can do immediately. Yeah. And so as we've been talking about this morning, we probably should be looking at maybe relocation, because until the situation is resolved, where we have a sea defense project that's going to actually protect them, we could have yet another encounter, and it probably may be worse than this one.
Yeah. In fact, the story actually, so it's what it does is it tries to capture some of the things that have been affected. Very important infrastructure there. So we are looking at schools. There are roads involved. There are business and health centers also all have been affected by. In fact, we are told that portions of the Meet Me There African Home Lodge, I'm sure you know Meet Me There, they're very beautiful place not far from the water body. I mean, very beautiful, lots of nice photographs. We are told that portions of it have been affected by the waves there. So it's really affecting homes in terms of families and businesses as well. Page 38 of the Daily Graphic has a story about the president attending the investiture of Cape Verde president-elect. But they have a photograph of the
presidential jet.
Exactly. Hopefully there wouldn't be any controversy. We can see him getting into the jet this time around. I mean, so that is on page 38.
But it's some way, somehow, we've never seen photos of the president getting into the jet stuff. Yeah. I mean, so this one we've seen, but then the other one, it's only Samuel Kudzoto Ablakwa who keeps on, bringing us news
what
about
the government people say are the internet pictures. The center spread has this story about the Ghana Highway Authority actually declaring war on overweight and overheight loaded trucks. I'm sure you've seen quite a few in town.
Too many of these things on the roads, and you see, I don't get it why they would load it so high, only for them to get to offing these bridges.
The bridges, and they get stuck.
And then
I think one happened on the N1 I think about 3 weeks ago.
And it's happening on the motorway several times. And they keep on destroying the underbelly of the footbridges.
And I think a couple of days ago, I was using the La Paz area, the outer lane where most of the taxis and the trotros park and pick passengers. And there was this vehicle that was using it, and because there were quite a number of vehicles parked along the roadside, he couldn't move. So at a point, he had to climb onto the pavement, one side of the tire. You can imagine. This is a truck that had a container behind it, like a huge, fully loaded container. And it climbed the pedestrian walk, and it was sideways this way. And I was just like, one car just be in front of me. I was just behind, and I just parked. I didn't move.
Yeah.
What amazed me was the fact that there were people who were just walking along. In fact, beside
oblivious to the danger.
No, they were looking at it, but that's what I was surprised about. I mean, they were just looking at it and clapping for the driver as he was trying to move along it and go. And I was just wondering to myself, like, I mean, look, if I was there, I would just get whoever has parked the car to move away. I mean, because it could easily come down. And there was this preacher by the roadside preaching, and when the man was able to conclude it eventually, he was talking about the power of God and how it enables people to deal with such difficult tasks. And I was like, Charlie. But I mean, we are told that the Highway Authority, they'll be looking out for some of these vehicles and which roads they are supposed to use and which ones they cannot use, to ensure that some of these accidents, which sometimes destroys the infrastructure that we have borrowed and used our scarce resources for, we don't have them destroying them. So let's see how that will go. We are told that Buffer Stock Company is also developing a 5-year plan to promote food security as well. Hopefully.
Are they now developing the 5-year plan?
Yeah, so that's they are trying to develop it. It's to create value in the operational scheme to guarantee food availability and security, price stability, improved food nutrition for Ghanaians, and financial security for local farmers.
I don't get it. We are now developing?
Yes, they are now developing. It's charting a new path to bring enhanced efficiency in its operation. The focus of the plan is to create value to the things that I spoke about. And they were speaking at a 3-day board management retreat. I mean,
so what have we been doing all this while with the Buffer Stock Company?
So far, what we know they've been doing is, there are these warehouses where they store food. I mean, I guess that has been just to serve as a buffer in the event we have challenges. And we are told that they want to move beyond that to do more. So we can look out for what they will do there. We can look at the Daily Guide quickly, the front page.
Sure.
GIPC wins investment promotion agency in Africa for the 3rd year in a row. Sosu skips court, speaker intervenes, and fight breaks over climate change list. Killer SHS students, others remanded, has a photograph of the gentleman who has lost his life, unfortunately. And Tardy, journalist gets bail over fake kidnap, also on the front page. The back page will have some sports stories. You cannot stop hearts after week 4. We've done week 2 already, so you can draw for 2 more weeks. And
we're not drawing for 2 more weeks.
That's what the coach is saying.
No, he's not saying they're drawing for. He says you can't stop Hearts after week 4.
But so far you have been stopped from scoring after week 2. So he said, so you have to continue drawing. He says He said he's sure his side will come good after week 4 of this season's campaign. The capital-based side remain winless. We all know that. It's a slow start. I like
it's a slow start.
It's a well-written story. It uses the right terms all through.
But it's a slow start, yes. And I've told you that, we tend to start slow.
Yeah, but
we start the same way.
There's a very positive story at the bottom of the High Sense Reward Kotoko old players. I like the story not because I support Kotoko. You know, last season they had this sponsorship arrangement where the teams that defeat Kotoko, the sponsors give them 4,000 cedis. And a lot of people complain that was a bit unfair because you're more or less encouraging the other team to beat the team. And when we win, they really don't get anything. So this time around, what they are doing is that
is it the case that the Kotoko doesn't get anything for winning?
They get a normal winning bonus and stuff, but this one was a special sponsorship. In fact, it was even for every goal. It was
for a goal.
A goal that the team scores against us, actually. So they were getting money. If we lose by 5 goals, they get more money and stuff like that. But this time around, what they are doing is that anytime Kotoko wins an amount of 4,000 cedis, they've set up a fund that it will go into for the legends of the club who need financial assistance. So, I mean, so far they received the first amount last Sunday.
Well, it's laudable that some help is going to the old players.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we hope Hearts-of-Oak can also do the same. That'll be it for the Daily Guide.
Oh, Hearts-of-Oak will fly them on Africa World.
You put them in that barrel thing with the ice blocks around it.
Are you also talking about that one? You know that one is part of like regular training.
Yeah, I've seen Barcelona and Co do it, but except I didn't see 2 players in a small barrel and holding block and doing this. We are doing ice bath. You didn't see the video? Yeah, you just look at pictures. I'll send you the video later.
Okay, let's get to the Daily Dispatch and building back post-COVID economy. Mahama urges African leaders to digitalize. Okay. And, oh really? Okay. Nothing can replace digitization. It is the way to go. That's Bokbing saying that. Illegal sand winning contributing to Keta tidal waves. And MMDC is advised to stay off NPP internal elections. That's for the Daily Guide. In the Daily Statesman says Ghana's bond flop blamed on Sam George. Analysts say anti-gay advocacy could have serious economic implications. Okay, government is addressing Ketu's tidal wave, says Asenso, the sector minister. And Veep assures government concern for veterans' welfare. Then let me do the Business and Financial Times quickly. Increased budgetary support to agriculture to create jobs, as the Chamber of Agriculture saying that. The story on GIPC winning Best Investment Promotion Agency in Africa for 3rd year in a row is here in the Business and Financial Times. And $75 million AFDB GIF loan to have 10-fold multiplier effect. That the Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta saying that. And roads and railway infrastructure deficit hits $17 billion. And SEC issues guidelines to regularize credit rating industry. So that'll be it for the Business and Financial Times. Okay.
I'll briefly do the finder. The front page says Smart Africa, AfriWave partnered to advance connectivity and data capacity, and recruitment of 22,063 health professionals underway is coming from the Ministry of Health. Radio presenter in Takrade granted bail in a sum of 50,000 cedis. 225 megawatts wind power proposed. Dr. Poku Prempeh, investors discuss plan in Scotland. And some stories in the center spread has a story about a street in Brooklyn in the USA named after Ghana.
Okay.
And will continue to improve on service quality delivery. And Dr. Baumia's family thanks President for attending Hajia Marame's funeral. And so the story about the wind power proposed, we are told that the Energy Minister has held fruitful discussions with Lekela, Africa's largest renewable power producer, on the generation of 225 megawatts wind power in Ghana. The discussions were held on the sidelines of COP26 climate change conference currently taking place in Glasgow. And so he said Ghana's renewable energy master plan constitutes an investment-focused framework for the development and promotion of the country's rich renewable energy resources to propel economic growth, improve social life, and reduce climate change. And so they expect that by 2030 we'll have 10% renewable generation And solar and wind targets, they're expecting some 520 megawatts, to be added. I mean, 10%, just 10% is too small. Yeah, I know. I mean,
I've always maintained that if we actually support, local businesses and those involved in the renewable energy sector, they can come up with all these they can come up with plans for homes.
Yeah.
So then that way, government doesn't have to get involved in providing, mega, renewable power projects, so that people can have solar in their homes.
So that we don't have more or less like government setting up installations and supplying to homes.
Yeah.
Whereas a small home, you can have your little solar panel.
Yeah, you can have your panels on top. And then that way, you take the pressure off the system.
Yeah.
And then government can then make that power available, in the grid to other communities. And indeed, we can have a way where whatever people are generating in their homes can be fed back into the grid.
In fact, we are told that the current energy mix as of 2019, we are mainly thermal, like we all know, 68%, and hydro is 31%, and marginal renewables just 0.82%. So that explains the 10% target. Yeah.
All right, let's get to my Joy Online now and see the stories that we have there. So, Shatta Wale Medical returned to court today. Okay, have you heard that Shatta Wale track?
Yeah.
I greet you, IGP.
Jail man, I said
I greet you, IGP.
Too many people on remand.
Finance Ministry to allocate funds for Keta Sea Defense Wall. COP26 Summit. Government officially sent 24 delegates, not 337, Henry Kokofu. But then, yes, government may have sent, the presidency may have sent 24, but there are several. We found out that there are several government departments and agencies.
He works with the EPA. I counted more than 40 people from the EPA. I mean,
so there are several government departments and agencies that also send people. We have the names are out there. Be cautious of QNet's job offers abroad, Deputy Information Minister. One feared dead, another in critical condition in Busnu Damongo highway accident. So Su is out of the country. Speaker Bagbin tells police. Konongo Odumasi SHS students involved in murder of mates remanded in police custody. An evacuation of Keta tidal wave victims to begin Tuesday. Okay, so that is something worthy of note. It's important that they get evacuated from the area. That's a K2 South MC saying that. And man accused of killing girlfriend's mother and 2 other women. So those are the stories on the front page, or on the main, on myjoyonline.com. You can get to the website and read some more on that. So we're taking a break to bring you sports, but thank you very much, Joseph Akable, for coming in to do the news review with me. Have a wonderful day. And then we'll be back with sports in a bit. Stay tuned in.
Many have described it as a destiny-defining week for the Black Stars who are seeking to qualify for the next edition of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Who would be the happiest person should Ghana make it to the next Mundial? Well, Milovan Rival says that he's going to be the only person who will be excited because he'll be walking to the bank to receive $300,000 for achieving a feat the Ghana Football Association tasked him to do. And also, Hazakah's ladies have reached the semi-final of the maiden edition of the Women CAF Champions League after defeating AS Monday by 3-0. We'll also be talking about NBA, where Steph Curry earlier today set up a historic 50 points when they came up against the Hawks. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullah, and this is AM Sports. Let's start with the Hazakah's ladies, who have made it 2 wins from 2 matches in the CAF Women's Champions League after Evelyn Biduk goals in either half were sandwiched by that of Perpetual Ejekum's free kick as Basigi's girls reached the semi-final. Let's talk about the Black Stars now, and their head coach Milovan Rival says he will be the happiest man in the world if he leads the senior national team to the next edition of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Speaking ahead of the 3 times World Cup participants' last round of matches against Ethiopia and South Africa, Milo, as he is affectionately called, said it is the agenda of everyone to qualify to the tournament.
Ako se Gana kvalifikuje za svjetsko prvenstvo, sigurno da ću ja biti najsrećniji čovjek na svijetu.
We really hope for that, you know, we are all working, this is our agenda, you know, and every person here, every member of the federation, every member of the technical team, every player, we all want the same thing, and if we qualify for the World Cup, I will be the happiest man on the world. So definitely we are all, we will all give our best to make that happen. Of course, we cannot predict future, you know, it's impossible. But we are doing everything in our power to win next matches. You know, this is our goal, and we will do our best to make it happen.
The mind games have started because the head coach of South Africa, Hugo Broos, said that Ghana is nervous ahead of the last round of the World Cup qualifiers. For Milo, he is going to be the happiest man on earth because the Ghana Football Association have said that should he qualify the country to the next edition of the World Cup, he will be given $300,000. Let's talk about the new Premier League structure where the Ghana Football Association has adopted that of the English Football Association model for its autonomous league, which is expected to start in the 2022-2023 season. Secretary General of the football governing body, Prosper Harrison Addo, has been explaining to Joy Sports why they chose the English model.
Premier League. We've heard it over the years that we must go autonomous. The word autonomous, I always say that there's no fully autonomous league anywhere. So the FA retains certain functions. Those functions can never move from the FA, but the management, the competition management of the league is what is assigned to a different company to handle. So we will have our version, which is akin, having looked at, the committee look at the Nigeria model, the Australia model, we have the La Liga, the Bundesliga. The Dutch have their own version, Scotland have their own version, but we started to model our own to the EPL. I think that's the most established league. So we said, okay, let's not play around it. Let's aim at that and see how far we can get to what they are doing. So that's what has been accepted. So having said that, the company will be formed already. We have written to the Registrar General to reserve the name, and so we would take it a step further. From the company, which would be the ownership will be made up of the Premier League clubs, and then the FA would have a sort of a golden share. But refereeing, disciplinary committee, club licensing, those still remains with the FA. So that's why the golden share kind of thing is important. So the clubs cannot sit down and say they are changing referee without the FA's approval.
And it is not just the Ghana Premier League that is going autonomous effective 2022-2023. There's a new pyramid for Ghana football where the Ghana Football Association is introducing what they call a Super League, and the Super League is going to be managed by the football governing body, whereas the Autonomous League will be managed by the clubs themselves, who are going to form a company called the Ghana Premier League Company Limited. We understand most clubs appear to be unhappy with the decision of the Ghana Football Association to restructure the Division 1 League to ensure that they are left with just 18 clubs. What it means is that the current structure, where 48 teams are participating, 30 clubs are going to drop into what will be the Super League, whilst just 5 teams are going to be competing in the Division 1 League, plus the other teams that are going to drop from the Premier League into the lower tier, and they will form up the Super League. The clubs, we understand, are demanding an immediate extraordinary congress because they do not understand the current structure put up by the Ghana Football Association. They were at Congress just a couple of days ago, but it appears there are some concerns and they want to go back. We'll be speaking to some of them, and they are saying us that they might be going back to the Ghana Football Association just to let them know that the current structure they want to introduce is one thing they are not happy about. We also understand that per the statutes of the Ghana Football Association put together by the now defunct Normalization Committee, they were supposed to ensure that the Division 1 clubs are dropped from 48 to 18 teams in 2021. So the FA must enforce it, but the clubs say no. Now let's talk about NBA, where Steph Curry scored an NBA season high 50 points with a 9 3-pointers, 10 assists and 7 rebounds, almost single-handedly leading the Golden State Warriors past the Atlanta Hawks 127-113 on Monday night. What a night for Steph Curry, and what a season the Golden State Warriors are having. It is 5 out of 5 in the new season in the NBA. They are hoping that this is their year. It's been a pleasure coming your way with AM Sports. I am Muftaru Nabila Abda. You can head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. Finally, Jordan Ayew was on target as the Black Stars stamped Golden Kicks in a warm-up game. That game ended 5-1. Returning Richmond Boachi Iyadom scored 2 out of those goals. Abdul Fattah Issahaku was also on target. In the CAF Women's Champion, a victory for Hazakes ladies as they reached the semi-final of the competition. The Black Stars will be leaving the shores of the country later today to South Africa to face Ethiopia and return to host South Africa in the last World Cup qualifying match at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. We appreciate your company this morning.
Right, so this is still the AM show. This morning, it isn't too good for some of the coastal communities in the Volta region, where the sea has literally made landfall and found its way into many homes. We're learning about 4,000 people may have been displaced, and schools and businesses have been closed as a result. Yesterday, when we reported on the issue, it wasn't clear what the plan was for the people who were displaced. This morning, we are going back to that story and get a better understanding of the interventions put in place for the people and how they managed to pass the night. Let's first hear from some of the residents who have been affected.
I'm currently at the Amutinu community, and the community school here itself is also getting its fair share of the devastation being caused by the high tides here in this part of the country. The students, when they are studying, the pupils, when they are studying, when they are in there, they can have a good view of the ocean. You've seen some of them there. Let's try and see if we can interact with some of them who were actually seated outside here studying.
The sea, first time the sea, the distance between the sea is very far. By this time, the sea is closer to us. Sometimes the sea can even come here, and we can flow through this area. Then sometimes disturb our knowledge. We can't even learn, and we can't even focus to learn because the way the sea is coming to hit the wall.
It hits the wall?
Yeah, it hits the wall, okay. And the sun is always disturbing us every day.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Now you can see visible cracks already in this structure. I'm told that this building used to be quite taller, and there was no way I was going to be able to reach the height of this school building. But now, because of the high tides and because the ocean is drawing closer, now it's very easy for me to even touch the ceiling here.
So Keta is actually in the which has been badly hit by this, is in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region, and the MP for the area, Blanche Jifagumashi, she has also been personally affected, and she has been talking about it with Maxwell Agwagwa.
Social amenities here in the Ketu South constituency, many of them under threat, some of them already submerged under the ocean. Now the Amutinu MA Basic School, which is right here, is also one of the critical infrastructure currently under threat as a result of the violent tidal waves that keep pounding this community dotted along the coast here in the Ketu South constituency. we're lucky to have with us the Member of Parliament for the area, Abla Jifa Gomashi. She's here with us. We're going to interact with her and find out from her, what the situation is like here in this constituency. Honorable, welcome to Joy News.
Thank you very much.
Great. Now, we're standing very close to the Amuchinu MA Basic School, and it looks like it is the next structure that is going to go. If there's no intervention, there's going to be the next structure that's going to go. There's no building that separates, this school from the roaring tidal waves now.
You are talking about 20 or so steps to the school.
Yeah.
If you say close is relative.
True.
But physically, about 20 steps and we are in the school.
Yeah.
And that's how close the sea has come to the facility. Now, if you look at what it is, and we are not able to improve upon it, to lose it, the thought alone makes my heart just shudder. I cringe when I think about it. That this is all they have, and if the sea should take it away, imagine, not too long ago, I think it was in May, I did indicate, and I'm sure if you go into your archives, you'll find this, that the next time the sea strikes, it will take the road. We saw it only 3 days ago and 2 days ago. So I'm saying to His Excellency the President, you cannot say you have not heard me. Your Minister for Works and Housing came to the floor of Parliament and answered the question that I filed. He followed up with a visit to the community and made a promise that by the end of the year, we will see the continuation of the sea defense. So you must have heard about this. Why they are not here, I do not know. But I want to remind you, Your Excellency, that it costs more to do the road. It will cost a lot more to give us another school. And it will cost a lot more to provide for shelter for the people who are traumatized by the pounding of these waves. It is in our interest as a country to respond now. We should not wait any longer. What's happening is that the land between the sea, the road, and the next community is not as wide as we think.
True.
So once it starts hitting the road, we are about to get into that community as well. It will merge with the lagoon and we are in trouble. I don't know how else to say this.
There's a sea defense that is some distance away from where we are standing. I spoke to the MC earlier and was telling me that it looks like it is not even providing a solution for the people there, because the violent wave sometimes goes over, will go over the sea defense that they have there into some of the communities.
If we continue, it won't. So let me assure the MC that if we continue with the defense, it will not affect it anymore. It's because that is the end of it.
Yeah.
That is the end of it, and that's why it's happening.
Okay.
If we continue, it will have a lot of room to operate. So let's not say that it's going over. So what? So we should leave it alone. We should leave it alone. This is the only other entry point into Ketu South. If you don't use the Accra Aflao main road, then this is your alternative. So if there's no alternative, should anything happen on the main road, what are we going to do? I mean, look, from Aflao to Ho, that road can take you about 3 hours because it's that bad. So let's not find excuses not to continue. We must continue this intervention. We have to fix it. And Honorable Asenso came and assured us that it will be done. So I don't even want to entertain that thought that because the end of it is exposing the people to what is happening, then we should fold our arms and throw it up, our hands up in despair.
So for this school, for instance, Touchwood, if this school should collapse, what other options are available for the many children who school here?
How can I have an option when I'm already in trouble asking that the SHS building be completed? And I led the Committee of Education to Tagwi Fiti, who added his voice that we must fix the school, complete the school, so the children can benefit from it. What is the alternative? I don't have an alternative. So I am terrified, and I probably will sound like a doom-monger, but it is the reality that when we lose this, then it means that there's nothing else. The borders have remained closed. That's where we get our source of livelihood. Now that it is not opened, the sea is an alternative. The sea is in battle with us. What is there?
So for the time being, for now, what kind of relief are we looking at giving to some of the people who are affected by what happened?
You know, the last time we brought relief here was when His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama and the members of parliament from the Volta region in the NDC came here and brought some rice and some cement. If we ask them now, that they will find a grain of that intervention we brought. What we need is for the people to have access to decent living and for them to fend for themselves. We just need to provide the opportunities for them. We are not a lazy people. I mean, look, I represent the people. Do I look like I'm a lazy woman?
No.
I'm not a lazy woman. We are not lazy. And I don't think that people want to sit down for others to be bringing them an olonka of corn and an olonka of rice and a bottle of oil. Let's fix the sea defense so they can fend for themselves. Okay. In the interim, it will be humane. It will be a sign of showing that we care about humanity, that we find a place for them to lay their heads. About over 1,000 people have been affected this time around. I think 1,030 thereabout. Where do we expect them to go? Their relatives are the ones who have been struggling all this while, going through the situation. Where do they go? Where do they eat? What are they going to eat? What from 2019 we've been saying that open the borders, vaccinate the people and open the borders.
Yeah. So it's all about, it has everything to do with the sea defense. When the sea defense comes in, then this will stop, I want to believe.
Absolutely. But this started from Qatar.
Yeah.
Has Qatar not been saved somewhat? It took us a long time, but eventually we did, right? Yeah. So if we have been able to save Qatar from what is going on, if we don't continue, they'll also continue struggling. Yeah. Because the water will always find its level. It will look for a place to settle.
But finally, before you go, you are also personally affected by this.
I'm affected on many levels. I'm the representative of the people. Yeah. They honored me with the title as Mama Jamadogbato Choplau. So I'm a cultural leader, I'm a traditional leader, and also I'm a resident. I have my property here. And even this morning, I saw how far the sea came this morning. And it left me the mark, telling me I'm on my way. But it's not about me, it's about those who are suffering now. Yeah. We can't even compare the two people. I'm a former Minister of State. Yeah. I'm the current Member of Parliament. At least my salary does come. Yeah. And how many of them can I share it with? So the people who need the intervention the most are the most vulnerable.
Right, so we just heard from Ablaji Fagomashi, who's the MP for the Ketu South municipality. We'll be getting on Zoom to speak with Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who's a building and roads consultant. We're trying this morning to get to understand exactly what the situation is, and it's easy for you to just sit back and see the footage and draw some conclusions, but we're believing that if we can show you a Google map of the area, we can get a much better appreciation of exactly what is happening. And I'm going to have Engineer Abdullahi Mahama actually walk us through it and get us to appreciate, get an overview and see exactly what is happening in the area. We're also having Joshua Asamoah, who is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Yesterday, he was just giving us some insights about the fact that a lot of what is happening, or some of what is happening, has to do with global warming as well, and climate change. He says the polar caps are melting. As they're melting, it's increasing, leading to increase or rise in the sea level. And so eventually it looks like we're going to be dealing with this for a long time to come, unless there's something significant being done to reverse the rise in sea levels and global warming and all of that. So this is a Google map view of the Keta area, where we have the Keta Government Hospital and Anglogan and that whole area. And as you can see, this is the ocean, and then we have the Keta Lagoon over here. So it's like we have a strip of land. I'm trying to understand exactly what we're trying to defend, as in by building or putting up the sea defense project. So Engineer Abdullahi Muhammad, good morning and welcome to the AM show.
Good morning, Israel.
Yes, so I've been trying to do something, looking at the Google map view of the area and trying to understand what is happening. Hopefully you can help me better appreciate, or help our viewers better appreciate what is happening. Good morning, and you take it over. What do you understand to be happening by looking at the Google map view?
Well, like you've been saying for the past few days, good morning to your viewers and your listeners alike. The sea keeps on rising, and as long as we are fortunate to find ourselves along the shore, we have the benefit of being along the shore. So when there are any devastation, we have to embrace it. But once activities by other countries keep on rising with total disregard to the environment, these are the few things that we're going to face. Ghana alone cannot do anything significant to reduce the entire global warming. What we can do is that, as you just showed the map, those towns and villages along the coastal area, those who find themselves in the very lowest of the topography, would be facing quite a significant devastation of the tidal wave visiting those shores. Along the coastal belt from Axim to Aflao, some areas are fortunate to have, in terms of grades, they are higher than the sea. So it will take quite a time, maybe decades or centuries, before they would be visited by the tidal waves. Like, if you remember when we spoke about the Ife about a month and a half ago,
yes,
I was emphatic that even though we have actually constructed a sea defense, we would have to be doing some monitoring to actually see whether at a point the sea defense will be functioning as expected, or we may have to increase the height. I remember very well that I said that in some time to come, we may have to increase the height. However, government should put a lot of priority on the defense project and tackle the lowest of the areas now, and treat it as a matter of urgency and what do you call, like an emergency, so that government would prioritize how to allocate funds for those particular areas. I said again that once we block one section of the shore, the water or the seawater that is coming towards the shore, once it meets a barrier, water would always displace itself in the other free area. And so wherever you have ended the construction, the next area, unfortunately, if that place is lower, far lower than the sea level or at par, once the water, the level of the sea keeps on rising, then there will be an ingress of water into the community. This is not imagination, these are science, and this is when you read those Archimedes principles that we used to do. These are just the practical aspect of all those things that we learn when we were in school. And so therefore, this is not a surprise to me. However, my worry is that at a point in time, like Salagope and those areas, once the water is going across the road to the lagoon, people will be trapped. And there are only two routes within the southern belt towards the other country, that's Togo, Benin, and the like. So if people who are within that stretch can just continue their journey like the beach road in Accra towards Aflao by joining at a point and then go to Aflao are truncated. That's a national disaster. And so that's my worry. But we would have to continue with the construction of the
sea defense
and like I said earlier, I preempted that we may have to widen the base of the sea defense because there's a likelihood that we are going to increase the height. Now, if it takes about a decade for the temperature to rise by 0.2, as of now we are in the region of about 1.2, and this is the devastation. It is expected that in the next 30 years or so, we'll be hitting about 2.7 degrees. We are just about 1.2. And so if we should get to 2.7 for no fault of ours, then we should expect that the devastation or the rise of the water will go beyond what we have. So those buildings along the coastal area will be swallowed completely. Now the water is around their window level. If we get to about 1.8, trust me, we would have swallowed all the building behind above their roof. And that is the saddest truth that we have to be faced with. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, we are not the major contributors of. They said Africa is facing the brunt or the negative impact of the global warming when they are contributing quite insignificant contribution, negative impact to the global warming. And that's how we find ourselves. And so if the 192 countries who have met at the treaty are not actually enforcing, making sure that they hold the bull by the horn to ensure that they can reduce the emission into the atmosphere, then we have a long way to go. However, as a country, we can only communicate with our neighbors, immediate neighbors. On our left toward the North Cardinal Point is Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and on the right is Togo. So if Ghana can have a plan, a thoughtful plan that within the next 5 years or so, they are going to construct a sea defense right from Axim to Aflao, with the sections of which are highly above the sea level, which are rock outcrops. Already they are serving like a sea defense, like part of the central region around the Cape Coast Castle area. You see that some of the areas, the buildings are even set on top of the mountain, 100 meters above the existing, the sea level. So those areas can never experience anything now. It might take centuries, if not. And so, you see, so the other thing I observed is that we didn't hear of what was happening around the UCC. Okay, I traveled to Takoradi last week Sunday, and I was just trying to observe because of our interview the last time. So I just tried to appreciate whatever is along the corridors of the shore. And I realized that just after the UCC junction and route to Elmina, the sea had actually, that is, you see, on the left side of Ghana, which is towards the western region, the only road that takes us to the western area is that Winneba Road, Elmina, Cape Coast Elmina, and the sea had gotten to about a meter or two to the main road that leads us from the Greater Accra, the capital, towards the western side and to Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast.
True.
And significantly, I was very happy that even though it didn't come to the attention of, the citizenry, government has taken it upon itself. And when I saw, they were frantically protecting the road, the international road, by bringing in massive boulders and then lifting the area just along the road about 20 meters parallel to the main road. So that is being done because government has gotten to know that if they allow 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of negligence or overlooking that area, I'm sure that the western region will be cut off, especially around the coastal, unless we move towards the hinterland to be able to access the central region and then Greater Accra. So thumbs up to what is happening around that area. So what is being done at the Salagope and the Keta area is what we have to start to do now. Yesterday I listened to your program in the evening, and then one of the research man was talking about the planting of mangroves. One of the other researchers was actually trying to debunk or to play little with whatever efforts is being done by the sea defense. Let me reiterate, and let me tell whoever is listening that the surest bet, the immediate solution to our problem is the construction of the sea defense. The second option is after the construction has been completed or during the construction, then the massive implantation or planting of the mangroves, which is known scientifically to be one of the major preventer of the tidal waves, aggressive tidal waves because of the nature of the roots.
All right.
When you go to just around the La Beach Hotel, on the left-hand side, when you are heading towards Nungwa, you see some part of that grove similar to what they are talking about. It has a very firm, deep root that brings or consolidates the loose material to be firm against the anger of the sea. That's my initial submission.
All right. So, thank you. I'd come to Joshua Asamoah, who's with Ghana Meteo. Yesterday, when we were having the conversation, you indicated how global warming, and indeed, Engineer Mahama has alluded to that, how global warming is contributing to all of that. I'd want you to explain to us once again, and also give us a fair idea what we're looking at in the short to medium term as far as global warming is concerned, and how that is contributing to a rise in sea level. Hello, Joshua.
Sorry, is it okay?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so thank you. Good morning to everyone listening to us. I think Engineer Mahama just said basically everything. What we are seeing now are effects of climate change, and basically the factor that we play in climate change is negligible. We are basically not committing so much into the effects that climate change is having in the world. The Europeans and those high power countries are the ones having most of the effects or the causes of climate change. For us in Africa, our input is very minimal. But unfortunately, because of global circulation, what happens in any part of the world tends to affect other parts of the world. And so whatever is happening there, even though they are causing the climate change to occur, I will still be experiencing the conditions here, even though our causes are minimal or short or lower. What is happening is that we are seeing global temperatures rising. If you are getting like a 1 degree rise in temperature, like global temperature, it means in some areas you could get temperatures dropping to about 25 degrees. You are getting 25 degrees lower in other areas. When you go to other parts of the world, you are getting about 30 or 50 degrees increase. But then if you combine all of them together, those who are having a deficit in the temperature values and those who are having an increase in temperature values, they will all come together and it will still move us into the positive parts of the temperatures. So globally, some areas will be having minimum temperatures or reducing temperatures, while others will be having increasing temperatures. Now, if you put all of them together, the world is having a higher temperature. We are moving towards the higher parts of the temperatures, which means we are in the warming state. So areas where we're supposed to have ice, snow, and stuff like that, this year or the past few years, are beginning to see rainfall instead of snow. The ice is melting. All these things are because of the temperature increase that we are seeing across the world. And when this happens, once the ice melts, in fact, nature actually created a way of absorbing all the rainfall. Just like in Accra, for instance, when it rains here, we're supposed to get some channels where the rains will pass and then get into the ocean.
Yeah.
So same way for all these areas. When the ice is melting, where we are supposed to be getting snow, it's rather rainfall. All these things will find its way into the oceans. And so even though we don't have ice here, but once the ice melts over the polar regions and others, we will find the water will find itself into the ocean, and so will cause the sea level to rise. And we in fact, almost every city along the coast is very close to the ocean. if some of them will have higher sea level, higher level, the station will be higher compared to the mean sea level. Adan, for instance, has about 5 meters, is about 5 meters above sea level. If you go to Accra is about 67 meters above sea level. So the effects that the ocean will have on Tema will be greater than what it will have on that Accra.
Yeah.
The effects that it will have on Adan will be greater than what it will have on, say, Axim, which is about 44 or 38 meters above sea level. So a typical example is in Adan, we had our meteorological station relocated because it was very close to the ocean, and it got to a point where the ocean actually took over the station. So we had to relocate the station to another place so that we can actually go and take our measurements. So because there's an interaction between the atmosphere and then the ocean, same way for land. So for us on the land, we are seeing an interaction between the atmosphere and the land, which is causing our cloud formation and then the rainfall that we are seeing. If we go to the ocean, there's an interaction between the ocean and then the surface just above it. When that happens, it causes the ocean to rise in a way. So that is what we call a tide. So the interaction between the surface of the ocean and the atmosphere is what yields to the tide that we see. When the sea level rises, it makes the tide level also increase. And so when there's a wind speed blowing over the ocean, it then carries the tides along to the shore.
All right.
So if Adan is, say, 5 meters above sea level, which is very close to the mean sea level, and then let's assume that the wind speed is same for the past 30 years. And then the sea level in, say, 20 years, last 20 years, was, say, 5 meters. Let's just assume. And then the wind speed is blowing. Or bring the tide to some point. So maybe not everywhere along the coast will experience the condition. But when the sea level increases to, let's say, 10, at the same wind speed, we'll have more areas.
It will carry the waves further.
Yes, exactly. So the increase in the water level is causing the tide to have higher, to increase the height of the tides. And it's also making the extent at which the tide will blow to the coastal area also increase. Yeah. So that is why most areas who are living across the coastline of the country, especially for those areas whose levels are very low, will continue to see these effects. Unless, just like Engineer said, we have some short-term ways of preventing, because we cannot stop climate change on our own. So what we can do now is to build a sea defense for most parts of the coastal parts of the country to stop the tide from hitting the homes of people.
All right, so for all that you've said, I think the bits that people can readily appreciate has to do with the melting of the polar cap. So if we have the ice melting, let's take a bowl of water and then put an ice block in there. And if we leave it to melt, as it melts, the water would drip down and fill the bowl. And so the water in the bowl will keep rising as the ice melts. That is a phenomenon we're trying to explain, right?
Yes, in a way. The only difference here is that the water level is already there. We see the sea is there, it has the spoon level. And then there's the ice, which is not contributing to the water level that we have at the time. But then now the ice is rather melting and moving into the sea. So even though we have our water level already, now there's additional water flowing into the sea.
Yeah.
Causing the level to increase.
Okay.
So there's nothing you can do about that one. Yeah. Because it's actually not within your capacity.
Yeah. Okay, so please hold on for us. We have Dr. Emmanuel Amamu Ochre, a geographer and former executive director of the Center for Remote Sensing and Geographic Information Service at the University of Ghana. He's also joining us. Good morning to you, Doc. And I would want you to look at the conversations we've been having so far. The point we've made about where the Keta situation is, and as you can see, it's a strip of land, and then it has the sea on one side, and then the lagoon on the other side. And I'm trying to understand what we're trying to do with the Keta Sea Defense Project, or what we're trying to defend. Are we trying to defend that strip of land? And is it realistic to want to defend that strip of land? We're having this conversation so that hopefully we can decide whether it will be prudent or more prudent to relocate the communities than invest in putting up a sea defense.
Okay. So, when you look at the location of Keta,
yeah,
relative to the location of Lomé, Lomé is the national capital for Togo. So, in the long run, when we are talking about either restoring or replanning the whole thing, we must also not miss the fact that it could be a good economic factor if we save the coastal scenery to some extent, because Keta would be, and Aflao would be sharing the capital, the facilities and advantages of the proximity to the national capital of Togo. This we shouldn't lose sight of.
All right.
But we also shouldn't lose sight of the fact that human being also has become an additional geological and climatological factor. Geologically, if we still continue sand over there, we'll be weakening any advantages that the sea defense would give us. So we may have to be conscious that we take less sand, so that nature, when it adds more, then we will be stabilized. Secondly, we still not studied the full import of the climate change. When we mention climate and geology, we are also looking at the time dimensions in terms of millions of years. That is, we were not there about 1 million years ago. About 1 to about 50 million years ago, that place may have been either above or under sea level, rising and falling, rising and falling. So, with us going into future, nature may decide, that geology may decide to give a global change. That one is difficult to fight against, but we would assume that's why even when it comes to flooding, the civil engineer will say, let's calculate any return of hazard in terms of 100 years. And the recent happenings in Europe has defied this 100 years, or when you say 100 years, we assume that flood not come. It could be 1 year to 100. So these things, the civil engineers and geologists and so on and so forth will have to work their mathematics well in terms of the climate change. The climate change, if we in this part of the world have been saved from the visitations of hurricanes, but we do not know what is going to happen with the total global climate change, whether we would also occasionally have some visitations of hurricanes. And when it happens, then it means the sea level rises quickly during the time of the hurricane, and the effect is going to be even more disastrous. So, the country should, it's academic faculties should also look at some of these things and be able to give us information and give us some warning or prompt us to study what normally we would have looked over. So, one, Keta, after all, they are sharing the vicissitude, but also the wealth of knowledge which the nation is thinking about in relocating and so on and so forth. The thinkers must also note the fact that within it is a strong economic advantage, so that if that place is well defended and beautifully done, we may even attract more visitors there than coming to Rome, or they may come there and share the facilities of
all right. So, Dr. Mamotri, you're talking about the tourism potential of the area, and which is why you'd say it's probably worth defending.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Mamotri, is a geographer and former executive director, Center for Remote Sensing in Geographic Information Service at the University of Ghana. And coming to, we will be going back to the community, as in going to the area itself, Keta and Loga areas, where we have Maxwell Agbagba. He's standing by right now. Yesterday, when we went to the community, it was evident that no relief had gone to the people yet. So we want to get to find out what the situation is right now as of this morning, and how the people survived the night, where they're having to keep. So we will be going to Maxwell Agbagba in a bit. But I want to come to you, Engineer Mahama. We've heard Dr. Amamo Otri and his proposal. He believes that, well, Keta is worth defending. Just as you were saying, that that road that's leading to the Western region from Cape Coast is also worth defending. And government is doing something about it as we speak. He believes that Keta is worth defending. But I want us to look at the costs involved and whether we actually can defend the area in good time before it's completely overtaken.
Well, let me just do this. You remember you were talking about the bow and then the block.
Yeah.
The cap. The block is actually within the bow and displays already, but it's above the cap.
Yes.
So anything above the cap was already not displaced. But once it starts to melt, it will also find itself into the bow, and that's when there will be a spillover. So that's actually, but if it's within the bow, it's already taken displaced a certain area that will not, whether it melts or not, it will not increase. But when that area is above the bow or the cap, that iceberg or the block would melt and have to find a place to occupy. That's when it overflows. That's the simple thing we're talking about. Because the polar regions, the iceberg is actually, the ice are above the sea, sitting on the sea. So as it's melting, it will increase the volume of the
sea.
The sea level. That one. Okay, now let's come to this one. There's no doubt. It's not to be discussed as to whether we would have to protect or leave any place that has a low-lying area along the shore. If you ignore the sea, the tidal waves will keep on taking the land. So not even only Keta, Gilfe, and the likes. As the water rises and you don't do any protection, it's taking your land. And once it keeps on increasing and you are not trying to actually do anything to prevent it, any low-lying area that the water finds itself will occupy. So Keta is one example, Gilfe is one example. Any other area along the coastal belt which is low is an example. And at a point, it will come into the towns, the communities, and it will find itself into the land. And one of the negative aspects is that it will start to intrude into any water which is not salty. So there will be salt intrusion into your lakes and your rivers along within those small ponds that are being used as drinking water will be taken over by the sea. And once that gets to that place, we'll have a longer or much more expensive way of treating the water to even consume. So for the defense, there's nothing that has to be done with the exception of doing the stone, the boulders to protect it, and then subsequently increase the growth of the mangroves. But this one has to be done by the Parks and Gardens, who will give us expert advice on that one, so that we'll know the extent. You see, within 2 years, the mangrove is understood to cover a certain height within 2 years. But we cannot wait for the 2 years before we start. 2 years doesn't mean that they'll be so strong to actually withstand the tidal waves.
Yeah.
But the boulders will be enough to withstand as they protect some shelter for the growth of the mangroves within the 2, 3, 4 years that will be planted. So the national planting policy that was just started a few months ago, we have to go back. And remember when we were in school in the Cape Central Region area, when you are traveling those times, 1996, 97, 98, 2000, you see a lot of these coconuts along the
beach.
The coastal beach. It's almost gone. So the authorities have to start working on it. The doctor spoke about the winning of the sand. Coincidentally, what happened at the Selagope, when your Massagoba was there, you could see that blocks have been manufactured, have been produced. So people carry, according to the MP, the MCE, people carry cement to the place to go and commit an offense. Like I said at Glife, the people who are living there are the accomplices. They know, because Israel cannot go to Salagope or Glife and go and start winning sand. But it needs somebody within that area. And I said the last six weeks or so when we spoke about the Glife area, that if the people don't become the watchdogs, their homes will be taken over by the sea. Before government will come in, you might not get the same benefit as protecting the place before government comes in. You know, sometimes movement of one location to the other, it's not easy. Psychologically, when you are relocating, unplanned relocation, it's not easy. It can take a long years before the person will even conform to the new society where he has actually gone, suddenly. So these are the things we have to do. But like I said earlier, for the protection, it is non-negotiable. The sea defense is non-negotiable. The mangroves to be planted in front of the protection is non-negotiable. But I said it again, we would have to revise or revisit the design. If 20 years ago,
you indicated
we're doing the construction of the tidal wave, and we didn't anticipate that it would be that significant in these coming years. We would have to look at the base, because the more you go higher, the narrower it becomes, like a cocoon. So with the wider base, you'll be able to always project that. Let's do the first phase. 1 meter or 2 meters has been constructed from beginning to the end. In the next year, because it's capital intense, the next year, government start to allocate funds. Like I told you the last time, we have to break them into lots. The lower areas become the first point of call. That we have to go by the second layer. In the next 10 years or so, we are going by the third layer. At the point, it might not go beyond. And so that we can protect. As for the lands, we have to protect them. Without that, we are losing all the land. And you see, some of the coastal areas are higher than inland. So if those areas are overtaken by the tidal waves, then your guess is as good as mine.
Then the inland areas that are lower are going to also be submerged.
Yes. So does it.
So essentially, the sea is just looking for a place where it can breach and go inland. Yes. Once it goes inland, the low-lying areas in Accra are at risk as well.
Yes, so you protect the shore with or without anything that you have within, because the water just wants a place to just occupy, to displace itself. So once it goes beyond the highest area and it finds the lowest area, it displaces there. And like I was saying, then comes in the Ghana water and their issues. They will tell you that when you have soil intrusion in all the lakes, we're in trouble. And secondly, some of the lakes, let's take this one for example. What happened around the trade fair area? There are some water lagoons or lakes which are not from the sea. Those water bodies already have saturated the soil. So intrusion of water into those saturated areas is difficult. Now, if we have that lukewarm attitude that people are now taking over all these lakes and ponds and rivers along, let's say, some few meters away from the sea, let's say 500 meters, 300 meters, and those areas becomes drier, capillary would find its way there. The water, because soil would always want to have some moist. So anytime there's that constant heating of the water or the sea water to the shore, those dry areas will be taking the water. However, if those areas are already saturated, it might take centuries for the seawater to intrude the soil. So these are really taken, and we have to make sure that we don't just dry all the lakes or the ponds which are not the seawater along, let me say, parallel to the sea in the lands, so that every time there's an intrusion, there's already a moist to block the intrusion of the water coming to the inland.
All right. I come to you, Joshua. What would you recommend? I mean, with the conversations we've had and all of that, and the conversations about global warming, what would you recommend from a meteorologist's point of view?
Okay. So I just want to make this point that the only reason why we are not seeing aggravation in this tide and then the effects of the sea on the land is just because of our geographical location. That is one thing that has really helped us, and the position of where the sea is.
All right. How is our geographical location helping us?
Yes, the sea is towards the southern part of Ghana. Most of the hurricanes that form, they are just rotational systems. And then when they form, there's a force called the Coriolis force, which pushes the systems towards a certain direction. And then when that happens, then it drifts the conditions along and then affects areas. And then if you see somewhere like the Americas, there's the Atlantic to the east. So first of all, the ocean has to be to the east of a large landmass. And then when the force pushes that system, it moves it towards the land to cause that devastation that you see. But because of the position of the ocean in Ghana, it's towards the south, and so when these things will even form over the Atlantic, it will rather move towards the western side and affect the American areas there. And so for us in Ghana, we are a bit safe from hurricanes for now because of where the sea is located, and then because we are also close to the equator. If you are closer to the equator, the force is minimal or very low. But those who are away from the equator, the force is quite higher. So you have to be away from the equator for effective Coriolis force. And then you have to also be to the west of an extensive water body. So these things are not present in our location.
Yeah, but Dr. Mamotri was...
why we are not seeing...
Yeah, Dr. Mamotri was saying that... Dr. Mamotri, he was explaining that we can't really tell for sure what could happen when things change, because with global warming we're seeing lots of strange things happen, and it's possible that some things that we didn't think of in the past could probably be happening to us in the future.
That is what I was trying to address. We should not be too worried about that for us in Ghana, because to the eastern part of Ghana, it's just a large landmass. So you are crossing Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, all the way into Eastern Africa before you meet an extensive water body in the Indian Ocean. And so for this event...
An extensive water body that can threaten us, that's what you mean?
Yes. So most of the hurricanes that affect the US and Canada areas, they actually are the thunderstorms that we see here. They move into the Atlantic, they get energized over the ocean, and then drift to the US and America and affects them. So because of the ocean actually stores lots of energy. So when the storm hits the ocean, it gets...
Right, it looks like we have lost Joshua Asamoah. Your line has been quite reliable, your connection has been quite reliable until now, but yes, these things happen. Joshua, are you back?
Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, the thunderstorms that we see here actually develop over the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, gets the energy to build up more and then move to affect the US and then Canada areas. That's why it happens every year. They're actually in their tropical hurricane season. For now, they've had 21 tropical storms already, and the year has not even ended. So we are now looking for supplementary names for other storms that may form over the Atlantic. Therefore, already exhausted the 21 names that are already there for hurricanes for the year. So that will happen, will continue to happen. Because of climate change, they'll get more of these hurricanes forming. But like I was saying, we are good because to the eastern side of our country, it's just land. There's no ocean to our east. Most of the time, if you see our weather warnings, we'll say thunderstorm or rain-bearing cloud coming from, Togo, Benin, or Nigeria. So they move from the eastern side and affect those of us in the western side. But because the ocean is to the southern parts of Ghana, the effect it will have on us in terms of hurricane is almost negligible. And then we are also close to the equator, so Coriolis force will be minimal for us. That is one thing. And I'm saying that in respect to the tide, there are a whole lot of coastal towns that are very low. And so with increase in sea level and its effect on these areas, we should expect that more areas closer to the ocean will be displaced by this water, because once the sea level rises, the tide will also increase, and then that will be pushed inland to affect areas. So the earlier or quicker we act, the better will be for us.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua Asamoah. Joshua Asamoah is a forecaster at the Ghana Meteorological Service. But to you, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who's a building and roads consultant, yes, much as we're looking at trying to defend areas that are low-lying right now, what would be your advice to government as far as allowing or issuing permits for people who are now moving to areas that are already low to want to develop those places?
Yes, the assemblies have to be reading more. The national government, let me put it, the capital or the seat of government, does not sanction most of the buildings that we see along or within the capital or across the country, which is actually impacting negatively onto the environment. The local government is the sole responsible agent who oversees to issuance of permit under the Land Use and Special Planning Act of 2016, and then the National Building Regulation LI 1630 that mandates the Assembly to give permit and to use their discretion professionally to advise or to dissent or to reject or prevent people from putting up buildings within some areas, citing or giving reasons. So I must admit that some of the people who are the assemblies may have to do a lot of extensive education and refresher courses. Sadly, they have to. And so that, because we've come across a lot of people who are giving permit to structures along some areas within the capital or within even the inland, which are not supposed to be there. And so when you point out their own act that is supposed to give them the power to give approval or to disallow construction of those buildings, they are amazed that those laws are sitting on their shelves. So they have to read extensive, they have to be doing a lot of refresher courses, and they are updating themselves with global changes. And so therefore, when the person has an authority at the assembly to know why he is not giving the permit for structures to be constructed, he will cite reasons why those things are being rejected. And that is the only way. We have to extensive education, extensive refresher courses, and then making sure that they put to good use the act that has given them so much power to give permit and disallow construction of those areas with their reasons which are grounded in law.
All right, so much as the local assemblies are the ones that will be giving the permits, if they give the permits and people have built in low-lying areas and government, there's some disaster or there's tragedy or they encounter tidal waves, then they'll point to government and say, well, government, you have to come and build a sea defense wall. So government can't sit aloof, and if it knows that these things are happening and it's not doing anything about it.
Yes, so like I said, you see, the local government ministry is one of the embodiment of the government. So whatever we say to the assembly has to resonate to the top. But as government is trying to put in the measures, like I said earlier, the construction of the sea defense is very, very expensive. So it might take government, the state of government, to constitute a consortium of engineers and professionals to do an extensive survey of the areas likely to suffer the anger, then put the advisory of the sea, so that those areas who have an ally, the government will just rely an ally on those areas, that these areas for the time being cannot have any construction done unless the defense is adequately put in place to prevent the tidal waves aggressively coming on land before we can. So, but I think that, like you said, if government sees this as a state of emergency, okay, they might constitute the body as fast as possible. And most of us are available. A lot of professionals who are better off than me, those who are experienced than me, they are all there. Constitute a body from the Ghana Institute of Engineers, come together to actually select people who can do this for the country, and then get sound engineering problems and solutions tabled to government, and then government puts in the legislative instrument on it, and then pass it, so that people would know that there's a law. Like when you're on the highways, government has put an airline now that from the center of the dualized carriageways, 45 meters at both approaches, nobody can construct a house. So if you go and put out a building there, government can only pay for the land because the land belongs to you. But if anybody construct a building after the LI has been passed, the building will not be compensated for by government. A similar thing is what is happening on the Ofanko Amasaman stretch of the road. So that's what I think government should do to actually get us headway here.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama. He's a building and roads consultant. Thank you very much for your time. And also thank you, Joshua Asamoah, forecaster at GMET, and Dr. Emmanuel Amamu Otria, geographer and former executive director, the Center for Remote Sensing and Geographic Information Service at the University of Ghana. We appreciate all your insights. And one of the things that I believe that we should be taking away from this, much as government has been called upon to put up the sea defense wall, there are also concerns about people in those communities who are engaged in sand winning, which is essentially undermining the sea defense project that's actually taking place and worsening the situation of the communities. So some of those people, you are to blame as well for the destruction that is being caused as a result of the tidal waves phenomenon that we're seeing. So you have to put a stop to it, and I expect that the security agencies, the police and whoever would actually take action and deal with these things. You're watching the AM show. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. All right, so DD Global has an inter-school public speaking competition that's actually taking place, and right now joining me in the studio is Bertha Amano. She's the CEO of DD Global, and she's going to be telling us all about the competition. Good morning to you, Bertha.
Good morning, Israel.
All right, so what is the inter-schools public speaking competition, Ghana's Best Orator Contest, all about?
It's the only public speaking contest in Ghana.
Indeed.
Yes. That crowns who Ghana's best orator is among senior high schools. So every year we come up with a topical theme, and then we go around the schools to find out who is able to talk best to the theme. Good. So this year our theme is digital inclusion, promotion and protection of child rights online. The aim of public speaking contest is to unearth the public speaking talents among the youth. Our objective is to promote the art of effective public speaking skill. Not only that, we noticed that in Ghana, or perhaps in Africa, we are good at talking, organizing big conferences.
Yes.
I know you would come to that.
I was going to come to that.
We organize big conferences, and it ends at a talk. what next? So with this public speaking initiative, we go beyond the talk.
Okay.
We try to add action to the speaking. So we've introduced a segment called the business pitching. What are we trying to do? To build entrepreneurs. You know, in Africa or in Ghana, storytelling is part of our life. So if you're able to tell your story very well, you can sell yourself good. Well, I know you have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'd want to know when was it launched and why is it under the auspices of the Secretariat of the Speaker of Parliament?
It was launched on 21st September. So every year we launch it on 21st September. And it is under the Secretariat or the Speaker of Parliament because when we talk of speaking, or when you hear Mr. Speaker, there's only one person that comes to mind. And that person is somebody who is able to manage a relationship between two strong political parties in the same space. And he does it very well. So if I want to be a speaker, whom do I look up to? Obviously, Mr. Speaker. And let me pay tribute to our former speaker, Right Honorable Professor Mike Okwe. He adopted this project. I remember when we paid a courtesy call on him after last year's contest. He said, Bertha, this is a good initiative, and I'm so proud of you people. I would like to invest in it.
Okay.
But, you know, time and chance decide what they want to do. But we have Honorable Bagwin on board.
Okay.
He loved it so much, and he decided to do the launch himself. So he launched it on 21st, and he's been following through. He will be with us on the finals on 20th November. Yeah, so that's about.
All right, I want us to go back to the mechanics for the quiz. So you have people, how do you get the people to participate, and how do you then move them on? Do you have like a quarterfinal stage, a prelims? Do you have then the various stages? If you could just walk us through.
Sure. That's a good one. We've received a few calls from various regions. Why don't you come to our region? Why don't we do this? We also have talent. We received one from Eastern region and then the Upper East. And we said, okay, so hopefully from next year, we are going to start with a regional contest. We are in partnership with Ghana Education Service. So hopefully we'll be working with all the regional coordinators, and then we'll do a regional contest.
Okay.
So
for now, which schools are competing, or how are you selecting the competitors, the contestants?
The entry point is a freestyle oration on the theme, and it's a semi-virtual thing. So you submit your video, and then you
all submit.
Any school across Ghana can submit.
Okay.
Any school across Ghana.
Okay. So for now, it's open to all schools.
All senior high schools.
Senior high schools. Yeah. So you submit your videos. You take a video of your school, maybe your team. There may be, is it restricted to one person? Do you have 2, 3? What number of people?
No, each school is supposed to submit one best video.
One best video.
Yeah, so they are supposed to do an internal contest if they wish, and then they present their best of best speakers.
So best speaker.
Best speaker. Okay. And then the best speaker will represent the school through all the stages.
All right.
Currently we are at the semi-final stage, and we have 9 schools who are out there campaigning for votes. And it's very important because let me thank Multimedia for coming in through to support us.
All right.
We are calling for support from the old boys and girls to vote, so that we can, the teachers can also feel happy being part of this project. So far we have 9 schools, like I said. I tried mentioning them somewhere and I left some out. I've received calls already, so kindly visit our website, www.ispscghana.com.
All right.
All the videos are there. The short code, the *365 *366 #, and then you add your school's unique code, and then follow the prompts.
Okay, tell us about the people you're working with, your sponsors and your partners.
Our key sponsor now is Multimedia. They are really supporting us. We have sponsorship from Franco Trading. They are helping us tremendously, and we still need more. We have a scholarship package from Regent University for the best orator. So when you finish, you don't sweat too much. Once your grades are good, you can get admitted at Regent University. We have Wilma Ghana for TuneRise, Frytol, Jama, the A-Live, Vodafone Ghana Foundation. We also have Speak Up. And then Passion Air, they fly all our contestants from across Ghana.
Okay.
So they don't struggle through the road or sweat and toil and all the hassles and so on. Whether you're in one or wherever, Passion Air will fly you. And they've assured us that they're going to give the top 5 a Sky Tour. So everyone should try and make it to the top 5. So we have fun. Other sponsors, Margins Ghana, they're also supporting, giving us technical support. Stanbic Bank is supporting us. And a few others. Corey Ghana, they are into shito and marinades. It's a new product out there.
Okay.
From Maku Foods. And so, yeah. That's
okay, so at this point, since we're having a conversation about a contest, about public, speaking,
sure.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to pitch the contest to the viewers. So, yeah, we're going to put you to the test.
Whoa!
And it's fine for you at this point to actually take off your mask and pitch. I'm giving you the platform.
And pitch on what?
No, you're pitching. You're pitching the contest to the schools out there.
Okay, I'm going to be selfish here.
Yeah. Feel free. I mean, just go ahead. Okay.
Hello.
So this is where Bertha is going to pitch. So let's hear you, Beth.
Let me copy my president. Fellow Ghanaians, my name is Bertha Amano, CEO of DD Global. We are the organizers of the Interschool Public Speaking Competition. Currently, we are at the semi-final stage where we need your votes, we need your support to make the program big. We have sponsors coming in to support us. Multimedia has taken it up, but we need your old girls and boys to come on board and vote massively. Let me try and mention all the schools. We have Sunyani Susek. We have Wa SHS, Ebri Girls. We have Achimoto School, Presec. We also have Infantsipim, Owats, Ola Girls, and Mauli from the Volta region. All these schools are competing heavily for the same crown, Ghana's best orator. Kindly visit our website, www.ispsc.Ghana, for more details. You can also call us if you want to sponsor or have any inquiries. 0553 66 63161 0553 631 Don't mind the CEO. The number again is 0553 631 It's a hotline. You can call anytime if you want to support us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Bertha. And as for the schools bit, you decided to bring this on yourself. So
let me
if
add
you have,
Presec too is
you left it out.
Left Presec out. Professor Michael Kwe would have killed me because last year he asked me why his school is not in the top 5. I said this year they will participate. Presec Legon, they are part of the top 9.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bertha Amano, for coming through. You're still watching the AM show. And I told you about the NSMQ trivia. Yesterday we had it, and we had one of NSMQ correspondents. He came here. He made a total mess of himself. But he has an opportunity to redeem himself. Let me bring you yesterday's trivia first of all, and then I'll tell you the trivia that he made a mess of himself of, and then okay, let's go to today's trivia. Today's trivia is on your screen right now. It's on our Facebook page. You're supposed to go there and try and solve it. Let's see who's going to get it. Represent your school. Don't disgrace your school. So as you can see, it's on the screen. I almost put Bertha to the test, but I'll spare her. I don't want her to embarrass herself. If it turns out she's embarrassing herself. We're taking a break. Just go on our Facebook page and try and figure that out. Up next, we're bringing you Showbiz with IB. Just stay tuned. All right, so we'll be speaking. I indicated to you that we have the draw where we're going to get to know how the 81 schools left in the 1/8 stage of the National Science and Math Quiz, how they're going to be paired. Before then, I'm going to try to solve this trivia just to prove. So you have one cowbell, second cowbell, 3 cowbells. 1 cowbell plus cowbell plus cowbell is close to 60, which means each of these will be 20. So 1 cowbell is 20. Then Cowbell, 20, plus Puppets Pizza, plus Puppets Pizza is equal to 30, which means this is 20. This will be 5 and 5. So 5 minus, I can't solve it for you. I mean, it's not fair. Go try and figure it out. I've made some progress so far, but be mindful. When you get here, there's Bodma. So have that in mind. We have Stephen Yankee. He's with Primetime Productions. They actually produce National Science and Maths Quiz. Good morning to you, Stephen. So we know there are 81 schools left in the competition right now, and we're going to get to know how they're going to be paired. So you tell us, that there's a draw coming up today, right?
Yes, good morning, Israel. It's a pleasure to be on your show. And as you rightly said, today we are going to have the balloting for the 1H stage of the competition. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Live on our social media handles. And that is when the 81 schools now standing in the competition will know their respective fixtures at the 1H stage of the competition.
Okay. Tell us how this is going to be done, because we know we have the seeded schools. There are 27 seeded schools. How is it going to be done?
Yes, so traditionally we have 3 pots for the ballot, because each contest will feature 3 schools. So in pot A, we will have our 27 seeded schools from last year, including our finalists and our champion, Presec, Legon, Adisadel College and Opokuwari School. Traditionally, what we do is that our finalists from the previous year's edition will ballot first, so for contest 9, 18, and 27, just so that the finalists don't meet again just at the quarterfinals. But that is a privilege we extend to our finalists. So they will first ballot for contest 9, 18, and 27, after which the other schools in pot A, all other schools that were at the quarterfinals last year, will also ballot in pot A. Then at the top of pot B, we have the highest scoring schools at the prelim stage this year. At the top of pot B, we have Tamale Senior High School. They qualified with 79 points. Followed by Infantipim School, Notre Dame Seminary. They scored 68, and in that order.
All right.
So pot B, we have Tamale SHS at the top with 79. And at the bottom of pot B, we have Mauli School with 41 points. So schools that qualified with 79 to 41 points are in pot B. And then in pot C, we have at the top Jojepenyi Senior High School. They also qualified as a runner-up with 41 points. And at the bottom of pot C, we have Zion College, Zico. I believe that is Mamavi's own Zico, with 24 points.
Okay. All right, so at the end of the day, you're going to ballot, and then we're going to get to know at the end of today which school is going to be meeting which school at the 1A stage.
Yes, rightly so. So in every contest, you would have a school from pot A, pot B, and pot C. So you're likely to have perhaps, say, our champions Presec meeting one of the top schools in pot B and another top school in pot C. That is how the ballot will be like.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Stephen Yankee, and we appreciate your time. And we're wishing all the schools the very best. Wherever you end up, it's your fate. You're going to be dealing with that. The 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by the Ghana Education Service in partnership with AFSA Ghana. And then the broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz on Joy News is supported by Cowbell, Perfect Pizza, Ace Medical Insurance, Tampico, DVS Industries Limited, Smart App, ULessing and Kings Group Limited, and Dole Yogurt. We're taking a break. Up next, IB is here with Showbiz. Stay tuned in.